here. All right. All right. I think we are live. Hello, my friends. Awesome. Okay. Good. Welcome to episode 9 of Doing Life Together. So today I really wanted to talk for a second about the quality of the water we drink and why it's so insanely important. So I'm going to give you all just a second. Think about, what are you currently doing to make sure that you are drinking high quality water? So what actions are you currently taking? Have you given it any thought? Or are you kind of more in the camp like, hey, if it comes out of my faucet here in America or in, most countries, it must be safe, right? Where are you at? Tell me in the comments if you would, or if you're catching replay, just put hashtag replay. All right. So water for me has been something that I began researching quite some time back. I would say over 20 years ago. And one of the biggies that I jumped in and learned more about that I think is very interesting is fluoride. All right. So what do y'all know about fluoride? I'd love to hear. And hopefully I can see everyone's chat here. All right, so have you done the deep dive on fluoride? That's my question as well. All right, so in our water, there's, chlorination, which of course is done to keep us from getting sick from bacteria. So somehow or another, we do need to be sure that our water doesn't have bacteria and nasty stuff growing in it. So that's important. But the more I learn about water filtration, the more I realize that there is so much happening in our water. And I fall into the camp of not necessarily just trusting that someone's got my back and that the tap water is safe, right? So do I occasionally drink tap water? I do. But at our house, we have tried very hard to do things to keep our water a little cleaner. So one of the things that's in tap water that many people do not think about are all the pharmaceuticals. So think about all of the people who are on hormone replacements, thyroid medication, all the medicines. Think about if someone's on really any medication, it's going to be coming out in our urine, which ultimately our water is sort of a closed loop. And so it's hard to filter out pharmaceuticals from our water. That's actually, I think, kind of challenging to get out. Chlorination. Some are not treated with chlorine, but chloramide, which is important to know and do your research, because your filtration, if you get a chlorine filter, but your water is treated instead, I think it's chloramide. Don't quote me. I'm not an expert. This is just doing life together, right? So I am just bringing some topics to the table here to chat about, because I feel like it's so important that we have kind of a open chat going. That's how, if we live in a vacuum, if we live in a hole, then we can't make better decisions. But if we are considering different pieces of our life, we can go, okay, what do I want to do with this, right? So you can have that. Fluoridation. Fluoridation is huge, and it's got an interesting history, honestly. I encourage you guys to do research on this. So ingesting fluoride, there's a lot to this story, okay? There's a lot to the story. But maybe you, when you had littles, or if you have littles, I don't even know if they still sell it. I actually presume they probably do. But I know when our kids were young, you could buy fluoridated water, and it was recommended that you put that in if you were giving your baby formula, or that you would give them fluoride drops, all that, because the idea was that it would give them better teeth. All I can say is you guys, you've got to do your research here. You have to, especially you new mamas and dads out there who are saying, like, is this true? So you can get, with the white spots on the teeth, right? So that can happen. And then there are also some studies, as you do your research, that link mental. Good afternoon. Good to see you. Thanks for checking in, y'all. I love seeing it. Put in the comments what state you're from. I always love knowing, or what country, because I know that I have some followers in other countries as well. So Fluoride is an interesting thing, and I have just done a little research on some alternatives to fluoride, and I think that's worth considering. Like xylitol has a lot of benefits without the possible negatives. And honestly, if you just search toxicity of fluoride on Google, it'll get you Mississippi in the house. I love that. Okay, so toxicity of fluoride will get you on the right track. I think there was actually a documentary maybe done on one of the main streaming services about fluoride, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't actually watched it. There's just stuff out there. So avail yourself of it. So xylitol has some teeth strengthening benefits without the negatives. However, I always have to say xylitol is toxic to, for sure, dogs and maybe all animals. I don't really know. So, just be careful. Don't leave out xylitol if you've got fur babies at your house. There's also something that's been used for many years, like 40 years, in Japan, and it is hydroxyapatite or something. Anyway, just go fluoride alternative Japan, and that should pop up. But I'm seeing that it's coming over to America, and it's there's ways to get this. Now, fluoride, of course, most water is fluoridated, and from what I understand, fluoride is one of the toughest things to filter out. So you can get fluoride filters. I've heard some mixed reviews. We actually have one at our house, but reverse osmosis is probably the most sure way to get that out. But there are some people, I've got some water filtration friends that I've met along the journey who say they have ways now to filter the whole house against fluoride, which I think would be a huge win. So anyway, do your research on that. Chlorine, from what I understand, is a lot easier to take out. You can have a whole house chlorine filter, just a really good carbon filter, but is it chloramide is a little bit more challenging. Anyway, this is not my thing, but find a knowledgeable person if you are not yet filtering your water. Now, Willie has taken over water filtration at our house. And over the years, we have had the pH one, the one that alkalinizes your water. So there was a period where we drank that. And then there was a time we used the very, very popular gravity filter. I'm just blanking on the name, which might be okay. It might be okay not to say brands, especially when I have something to say about this. So when I did my research on water filtration, that gravity filter, like best known out there, it's very well known, was what I decided would be a really good way to filter our water. And so we used that. And then all of a sudden, Willie found, he did some tests and he found he had like an intestinal bacteria happening, and then he came to me. He's like, "Do you mind if I send our water in to test it for bacteria? I'm just curious." And it was that filter. I go, "Oh no, I think that's a great idea." Sent it in, and it had the bacteria in it. And then, of course, in hindsight, I had been waking up at night with a sour tummy for a while. Of course, I just plow onward. I was taking charcoal, like, well, my tummy doesn't feel great. But as soon as we switched off that and moved into a different filtration system, it went away. So I think it is valid to say, be careful with those because they can grow bacteria. My understanding was they were pretty good on that front, but so I actually reached out to the company, said, wow, I'm kind of shocked. And they're like, well, you have to clean the filters every month or whatever. And since then, I've seen them putting that out in their marketing. So if you are using one of those fancy dancy gravity filters, which I was all in on, just be sure you are cleaning your filters and replacing your filters as often as needed. So that's just a little word of wisdom there. Now, because of that, we've actually put in a UV portion of our water filtration where the UV light can then take out any bacteria, because nobody wants bacteria in your water. That's probably not a win. All right. So anyway, any questions for me? Any things that you have found on your water journey? I would love to hear. Love to hear what's working for you, how you choose to filter your water. And if you haven't even really thought about water, this would be a good moment maybe to consider it. Interesting fact. So we know that thyroid issues are kind of rampant right now, especially in women. I think women thyroid issues maybe are a little bit more common, but men can definitely have them as well. What did I learn? I think I learned that I don't know. I was thinking testosterone might be kind of protective, which women have testosterone too, but of course men tend to have higher. But anyway, interestingly enough, going to the fluoride or the bromination of like white flour and stuff, fluoride competes with iodine for uptake in your body. And of course, you know that iodine is so essential in our life. And so let's talk about iodine for a second here. So some of you are on like, you're kind of health nuts like me. And so maybe you learned that the cheap iodized salt isn't always the healthiest stuff, right? So I don't know about you, but we switched over to real salt and some of those, that had a little better reputation. The problem is, unless you're eating seaweed on the regular or kelp or wherever you can get that iodine, the soil is deficient in iodine, and most Americans are really deficient in iodine. So interestingly enough, I think I was deficient in iodine. And so I went to a natural doctor, and I've shared a little bit about with y'all, and he did where he puts on the yellow iodine on your skin, and how quickly it absorbs tells how much your body needs iodine. It's a simple test that I think has been used for many years. But anyway, so just know thyroid health. He told me, he's like, honestly, if we could get people's iodine levels up to where they should be, physiologically speaking, so many of these problems would be headed off. But instead, people are just simply told about a pharmaceutical that they need to take for the rest of their life, which, I mean, in all fairness, makes a whole lot more money than giving people some iodine. But something to think about is iodine, but also, again, going back to that fluoride, if you are still drinking fluoridated water, it's competing with the little iodine that's in your diet, or if you're an average American. So interesting, fun facts, right? All right, so couple things. That was the topic God put on my heart today, just to raise awareness and say, okay, how can we better filter our water? Because it does make a difference in our health. Now, I want to say a huge thank you to every single one of you who either purchased my book or downloaded it. I am so super grateful. And I just want to say the book hit #1 on Amazon, and that's because of you all. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. But more than that, I hope this is such a blessing to you as you are reading it. I just pray that there is breakthrough happening in your life at every level, not just money. Of course, it is about financial mindset, but it is about so much more than that. And living in the freedom of Christ, which has been, oh my goodness, if I could bottle this up and give it to every single person in my life and every single person on the planet, I would, because it's the most glorious thing I've ever known in my life. So thank you. If you haven't gotten the book, it's still on Amazon. You can get it there. Walking in His Promises, Sonia Eccles should bring you there. All right. What else was I going to say? So thank you for that. I had something else I was going to tell y'all. I don't know. New Norwex products are out, so you can shop at detoxourhomes.com. Detoxourhomes.com. If you've been following me, you know that's part of my passion, is detoxing our home, detoxing our body. And I've shared in episode 3 or 4, detoxing from religion and stepping into relationship instead. So that's another thing. So, yay, I'm so glad. Makes me very happy, y'all. I just will tell you that the information in that book, it's not a long book, y'all. It won't take you forever to read, but this information has been life-changing for me, and I pray it is for you as well. Okay, another thing on the Norwex front is that in October, you can actually open your own Norwex consultant account for $78. Get, of course, the consultant 35% discount, which is amazing, but also start earning income. So it is estimated that a huge number of Americans are picking up second and third part-time jobs to make things ends meet. And so if you're looking for a way to add some income, Norwex has certainly been that for me personally, but also so many of my team members. So if you're interested in finding out info on that side of things, give me a shout. Or if you're working with a consultant, obviously reach out to them and they can get you all taken care of there. And speaking of Norwex, I'm super excited to have one of my team members visiting shortly here. They're going to be meeting us at the ranch and we're going to have some good Texas barbecue. Can't wait. So Amy, I'm excited to see you. And one more thing, for those of you who pre-ordered my book, with that, you got the 90-minute Zoom Q&A, and that is tonight. So tonight at 7 p.m., y'all who pre-ordered, I've emailed it to you, but I just want to make sure you know and saw that. I hope I get to see you live tonight as we just do a little deeper dive on everything in the book. All right. Well, my friends, I just pray blessing over each one of you, over your week, over your health, over your family, if you have children, grandchildren, if you have nieces, nephews. I think that God loves you. Well, I know, because I know that God loves you so much, because that's what this whole book is. It's a love story about God to you, and he desires to bless you. And so I just pray that over you. And if you have not discovered that yet, it took me a while to discover the fullness of it myself, and I'm still I feel like I'm just a baby in it. But if you haven't, I just encourage you to just ask God, show me what this thing is that Sonia keeps raving on and on about. Just show me, because when you open and invite him in, it'll change your entire life in every way possible. And so, all right. Thank you, my friends. And go look up fluoridation, figure out alternatives. Oh, and check your toothpaste, check your mouthwash. And here's another one for you. When you go to the dentist, like, to all my dentists out there, please do your research on fluoride. So for over 20 years, every time I go in, once I began to learn this information, I said, no fluoride, please, no fluoride, please. And they honor that. They have non-fluoride options, but they will tell you, we really believe in fluoride, and we really think it's good, and we think you should do it. There are other alternatives to strengthen your teeth. And one of them being, I really want to look into this. I haven't pursued it, but the Japanese hydroxide apatite or something like that. I should have pulled that up so I would actually be able to tell you the right thing. But there are alternatives. So check your toothpaste, check your mouthwash. Know that when you go to the dentist, you don't have to opt for it, because once you've done your research, I don't think you're necessarily going to want to do your deep dive, okay? And then babies, oh my goodness, please do your research before you use fluoridated water for your babies and young ones. So yeah, I just a friendly voice saying, do your research. I'm going to say that pretty much every week. You know it, right? Okay. Thank you, friends. And we will see you same time next week.